about the influence that you have when you have a company like Ferrari or Aston, like Ferrari, how their stock value went up the second that they announced Lewis Hamilton. It's the David Beckham effect, right?
Yeah.
So to have somebody like that in your corner as you come in as a new manufacturer into F1 is a very, very big positive move for Sauber and for Audi. So I think it's a great move, and it gives him kind of a long-term seat or a long-term project for the next couple of years.
Yeah, the problem is with Formula One, and every opinion you're going to read about this is just because the teams are greedy. More points that go down means the less money for them, the more cars on the grid, the less chance of money. So they're all going to say whatever protects their interests, and that's what Formula One's all about.
Hello and welcome to On Track GP right here on DR Sports. We're back. No race this weekend gone, but we're looking ahead. We're looking forward to Miami. Joining me is Coylin and Rich. Welcome back, guys. It's been kind of a busy few days, hasn't it? I mean, considering there's been no race, there's actually lots to talk about. I feel like we should talk about probably the biggest news over the couple of days about Adrian Newey. Lots of sources are kind of breaking this kind of rumour. We'll call it a rumour as it stands, that he's going to be leaving Red Bull at the end of the season. He's contracted till 2025. There's always been this talk lately about the internal issues at Red Bull, obviously stemming kind of from the Christian Horner gate. And this rumour's been swirling for a while now. Lawrence Stroll is apparently absolutely desperate to get him at Aston. Alonso obviously signing a new deal. It would be great. We all know that he's the key cog in that kind of Red Bull machine. Rich, do you think this has legs? Is this something that you think is going to be confirmed?
I think this. I don't know. I think if he does leave Red Bull, then I would be fairly surprised if he didn't go to Aston Martin, if I'm honest. There's a couple of reasons for this. Number one, for Alonso to sign this early in what's going to be the silliest of silly seasons ever, with so many good seats available, I think is quite strange. And he was quite keen to mention the ambition that had been mentioned by Lawrence Stroll. And obviously that was when the rumours about Newey started. Don't forget that when Red Bull and Aston Martin had a partnership going on, that Newey was going to be involved in the design of the hypercar that they were going to do jointly. And Newey has already stressed he wants to do other programs. So I think that this has quite a bit of legs. I think it has a lot more legs than the Ferrari thing, because if I was Ferrari at the minute, they seem to be, apart from Red Bull, they seem to be on quite a good trajectory at the minute. And then also, a lot of people are saying that Newey's going to Ferrari because of the Bologna airport thing.
Yes, spotted, papped in Bologna airport.
Yeah, well, the reason he was there, I was with him at that time. We were flying to Mugello.
There we go. That shuts that whole story down.
But both flights that he took, I was on the same flight as him. I was in the lift with him at Heathrow, and then we were at the rental car counter in Bologna Airport. He was going to go and play with his classic cars, and
so there we go. So he's definitely not going to Ferrari as first class source,
unless he's got on a flight to Bologna that I don't know about. But the two times that people have been speaking about when he's been spotted, he was going to go and play at Mugello and have a good time. And one of those. And it backs up the theory that he's taking a bit of a step back, because one of those days that I flew with him was actually on the Sunday of the Australian Grand Prix. So for him to have a project outside of Formula One, I think is quite exciting to him. So I think the Aston Martin story is actually worth watching.
Okay, Colin, what do you kind of feel about that? Because we all know, as we kind of said, he's been so vital to what Red Bull have been doing and what they've achieved. So with him going, there's always these rumours about Max as well. Will Max leave? Will he want to go elsewhere? How do you kind of see this all panning out?
Yeah, it's funny when it came out last week about hearing about Adrian Newey leaving, because he's quite often said that, Red Bull is my team, they feel like family. And he's done a typical Adrian Newey job there. He's come in when the team has been kind of midfield running, whatever. He came in, I think it was 2006, was it?
Yeah, 2005 or 6.
Yeah, and just like he did in McLaren and Williams beforehand, really helped the team become what they are today. So, yeah, I think if Adrian Newey is to go, especially if he goes to Aston Martin or somewhere else, I think it could be a big hit for Red Bull, especially as well. You have to take into consideration that past this year, they're going to be looking at the new regulations in 2026, and having an Adrian Newey in your corner with new regulations, that's not something you want to miss.
Yeah, absolutely. And also from an Aston perspective, I mean, this is big if they get him, because this is showing the ambition that Lawrence Stroll spoke about, obviously in Drive to Survive. He wants to win championships, and having Alonso securing that down, that's a big plus. But do we think that this not to take it all the way back to Lance again. But do we think that, again, we're going to have to see him make some ruthless decisions if he does get Adrian Newey in?
I mean, this signing, if he is able to pull this off, this could have the same. I've mentioned in previous episodes about the influence that you have when you have a company like Ferrari or Aston. Like Ferrari, how their stock value went up the second that they announced Lewis Hamilton. It's the David Beckham effect, right?
Yeah.
Adrian Newey can have the same sort of effect as that because of who he is, and also what the shareholders will know about what he can bring to a potential hypercar road car program, which is what road car supercar directions are going in at the minute. So I think this could be a serious statement of intent. But then the Lance factor comes back into it. Newey is he going to put all of his eggs in one basket with wanting Alonso when it's a night at the minute Lance isn't doing the job? How long can you justify keeping him there?
Yep, 100%. We have to watch that space with Adrian Newey and see what's going on. Another interesting thing that happened kind of last week over the weekend was Nico Hulkenberg. So announced on Friday that he is going to be going back to Stake F1 Kick Sauber, whatever we're going to call it. He did previously drive for them in 2013, so he's heading back there ahead of Audi's entry into the sport in 2026. It's kind of going to allow him to help with the development of the car and, before all the regulation changes come in as well. But of course, this means that Valtteri Bottas or Zhou Guanyu is going to be without a seat for next year. Are you surprised with the move or not so much?
No, not so much. I think Nico's he's a really experienced driver. He's I'd put him in the same category as I would a couple of years ago, like Kimi Räikkönen or Fernando now even, where he's an experienced driver. He's raced in F1 for so many years. He's driven different cars, different regulations. So to have somebody like that in your corner as you come in as a new manufacturer into F1 is a very, very big positive move for Sauber and for Audi. So I think it's a great move, and it gives him kind of a long-term seat or a long-term project for the next couple of years that he can really focus on. And will he replace Bottas? Will he replace Joe? I think they'll both be gone. I think somebody else will come in there alongside Nico for next year. Who signs somebody, I don't know, but yeah, I think they're both finished there. Do
you feel the same way, or you think maybe they'll keep? Obviously, Zhou Guanyu is very appealing to an Asian market as well. So is it a risk to kind of remove him from that lineup?
I mean, to be honest, first of all, for Nico, I think I'm really kind of delighted that he's got a move like that at this stage in his career. So I've been working with his trainer this year, and so I've been speaking to him quite a lot about Nico, and I was talking to him about this when the news came out, and he puts in a lot of effort behind the scenes. I think he really deserves an opportunity like this. I think that it was a move which was kind of inevitable when you put the pieces together. Obviously, when he did his sports car stint, he did it with Porsche, which is part of Volkswagen Group, the same group that Audi's under. And also the team boss of the Porsche program at that time was Andreas Seidel, who's obviously now going to Audi.
Yep.
So the pieces come together quite well. And Audi, I mean, yes, the China market is Volkswagen Group's and Audi's biggest by miles. And obviously having Zhou there is a very big piece for them. And obviously he does bring a significant amount of financial backing. But Audi, historically, they don't really care about that. They only do things to win, and they do a very, very good job at it, especially if you look at their sports car programs. So I think that Bottas has a good chance of staying in that seat purely because of the experience and how he proved himself at Mercedes. Sainz is obviously on the market and is a very attractive proposition for that seat. But I think Zhou's going to struggle to hold on to it. I wouldn't be surprised to see Zhou go to Alpine.
Okay.
I think with the new shareholders that Alpine have brought in and the accessibility and the visibility he can bring to the brand in China, I wouldn't be surprised to see him take one of Ocon or Gasly's seats.
That's a really nice segue into what we'll talk about with Alpine in a sec. I just want to quickly wrap up with the Hulkenberg news, just to look at the Haas seat, because there's going to be one seat at least open. Does that kind of give way to maybe someone like an Ollie Behrman to come in? He had a great drive, obviously, in Jeddah. Do you think that's an option for him? Or?
Yeah, let's be honest, with Behrman, especially with the reputation that he's got, it's a matter of when, not if. I think that's provided he does the job in the rest of his free practice sessions this year, which, because he's already proven himself in a race, has become much, much easier. I think that he'll be in the Haas next year, and I think they'll probably keep Magnussen because they'll know that he's a reasonable benchmark.
That was a nice little segue onto talking a little bit about Alpine, because Pierre Gasly, he has, according to Sky F1's David Croft, he has been linked with negotiations to join Williams. Of course, it's been a poor start to the season for Alpine. The Gasly-Ocon relationship is kind of irrelevant at this point. There is nothing going on. Do you think that would be a good move?
Initially when I read it, I was kind of like, what, really? But yeah, I think something like that might be a good move for Gasly, because Williams are a team that, okay, they haven't done so much at the start of this season, but they've been gradually making steps forward and going into the midfield. So having a Gasly-Albon partnership there could really work for the team. And I think Gasly now, it was all well and good joining Alpine last year, all French lineup, this and that, but they've just gone so backwards this year.
And there's no relationship there between the two of them either. It's pretty obvious that they don't like each other.
Still don't like each other.
No, they don't get on well. And quite a few people, a few friends of mine were at the Chinese Grand Prix and in the paddock, and one of them in particular came and told me how grumpy Gasly looked when he was walking around. And as a driver, if things are going quite well, even if you're having a bad day, you still look quite happy in your body language, but his body language looked quite depressed. So I think something's going to give there. I don't know whether Gasly would be the sort of shout that Williams would want, though. It depends on what Albon would do. You can't say now that you can see Gasly giving Albon a run for his money.
Well, also, I feel like we have to consider that Albon might also leave. Silly season, he's a great driver, been performing really well for the Williams. I mean, why wouldn't he go if the opportunity came up?
You can pretty much guarantee that he's going to be having some discussions with Toto or with Red Bull as well.
Yeah. Absolutely. Logan Sargeant, keeping with Williams, and there's a lot of rumours that Mercedes are trying to get a deal with Williams to get Andrea, Kimi, Antonelli to replace Logan Sargeant after Miami. I mean, for the American market, I understand why Williams wanted to do it. Got 4 American races, it's good for them. But obviously, Logan Sargeant has not performed really at all, especially when you're comparing him to Alex Albon. Do you think that is something that we'll see after Miami?
I wouldn't be surprised to see him leave at some point during the season, unless his performance increases quite dramatically, because, okay, we're looking at this year, but we've got to remember what happened last year, except for a couple of races, right? But I can't see Antonelli being brought in. I know that there's a lot of hype around Antonelli and everything, but the guy's only done 3 races in Formula 2. And correct me if I'm wrong, I need to go and research this, but I don't even think he could qualify for a super license yet. I'm not sure about that. I might be wrong. So I think there's just a lot of hype around him, but we all need to take almost a sanity pill and just remember what level this guy is at. I mean, he's not won a Formula 2 race yet. He's only just come into Formula 2, skipped Formula 3, and he's very, very young. If they are going to replace him mid-season, there's plenty of other very high quality candidates. So yeah, I'm sure we might see him in an FP1 or something like that, but I think that's a bit presumptuous.
Yeah, I think it's just because Toto Wolff is obviously doing a lot of talking lately. Yeah. He's kind of already been talking about, future drivers at Mercedes who can come through, replace Lewis, and he's obviously got a very keen eye on him. But Helmut Marko and Christian Horner have kind of urged Toto Wolff to basically just shut up. Like, stop talking so much and kind of focus on the development of your car rather than the driver market, which kind of leads us into the W15 back again. They've got some underlying balance issues. They've got a new aerodynamic should I say that again? Aerodynamic package being introduced in Miami to help overall performance. What are we looking to see from a Mercedes in this weekend, Colin?
I don't know at this stage, to be honest, because
we just don't.
I talked long and hard about Mercedes the last couple of seasons, and I'm sure you have loved you know how the inside of a team works when there's development going on. But just thinking about it as in a whole of Mercedes, we've had in the years past rule changes. 2009 where McLaren and Ferrari fell off after fighting for titles. You had 2014 where Mercedes dominated, Ferrari fell off. But these teams, they always came back. They always got stronger. The following year, Ferrari was winning races. Okay, I know Red Bull had the fallout with Renault at the time in 2015, but even they came back 16, 17, 18. They're winning races, top 3, whatever. But for Mercedes to come into 2022 with this new kind of regulation change and everything, and all the cars changing with the ground effect kind of dynamics and stuff. Okay, they got it wrong with the zero side pod design or whatever it was in 2022, fair enough. But to come into last year and even this year with a revised concept and still be going wrong, I think it's, and to be coming out 2 rounds into the season and saying, oh, our simulator isn't correlate properly, or, things like experimenting in Melbourne during practice. I mean, I don't understand how a manufacturer team like this, like Mercedes, can get it so wrong. You can give a bit of leeway to Stake or to Williams because they share their parts with other teams and whatever. But I mean, Mercedes, after 8 straight constructor titles, 2 years into a new change, a regulation change, and they're still struggling to break the top 5. I mean, I don't know, and I think it's going to be more the same in Miami. They're going to put these upgrades on. Yes, it's going to fix it, but be like Silverstone last year, they're going to get nowhere with it. I think
that's pretty damning, but honest and spot on.
I've thought a long time on that.
You've given it a lot of thought. I know what you're thinking about in your weekends. Do you agree with everything that Coylan said, Rich?
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking while he was saying that if Adrian Newey is leaving because of the fallout from Christian Horner, and Christian and Marco keep saying that Toto needs to shut up, well, what better way to show your angst about it than potentially having Newey go to Mercedes and fix their broken concept?
God, that would be wild.
That would be wild.
Depends how much you hate them.
Yeah, exactly.
Depends how petty you want to be. Petty.
Formula One's a petty place, you know.
It is. It's a very petty place.
Yeah.
It really is. I'm interested to see kind of how that Mercedes is going to look this weekend. There's still a lot of blowback from the Ricciardo Stroll collision in China. Stroll just doesn't want to accept any responsibility, basically. Danny Rick, we've also been very critical of. Again, I feel like we've said he's not going to make it to Europe. Do we think this might be one of the last races we see him in?
I think it will be, unless something dramatic changes. I mean, we know how brutal Red Bull can be. If anything, to be honest, they've kind of been lenient with him so far compared to how they have been in
probably
the past.
Because of the marketability of him.
Yeah, exactly. And that's probably one of the reasons to keep him in Miami, because he is one of the bigger stars and he probably brings in the one race sponsorship for something like that. But I mean, it's no coincidence that Liam Lawson has been at every race this year. Normally your reserve driver isn't at every race because of something else, but he's at every single one this year. So I think, unless there's a market improvement, the writing could be on the wall.
Might be the last time we see the Honey Badger.
That might be.
New F1 point system has also been proposed for next season. Instead of the top 10 scoring points, it might be to 12. Is this maybe with a view that at some point we're going to expand into 22 teams?
I would like to. I'd like to have as many cars as possible. That'd be awesome. I think more cars are better. I mean, the problem is with Formula One, and every opinion you're going to read about this is just because the teams are greedy. More points that go down means, the less money for them, the more cars on the grid, the less chance of money. So they're all going to say whatever protects their interests. And that's what Formula One's all about. So the people who it favours are coming out and criticising this proposition. The people who could gain from it are coming out saying it's a great thing. I personally think it would be really good because, I read quite a good analogy of it from Ayo Komatsu, in that you can have the best day ever and your team can perform excellently and you feel like you've nailed it and everything. But because of the level you're at, you finish 11th. So you get the same reward from that weekend as you do as if you have a DNF on lap one.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think, especially when the midfield battle has become so intense and kind of keeping the excitement of Formula One going with Max's domination, to extend that will make it a lot more entertaining. I think it's a really good idea.
I agree. I'm all for the extension. Ferrari, they have got a all new title partnership, so it's going to be Scuderia, Ferrari, HP, because they've signed up with.
There.
Did you like that? That was my little Italian. So they have now partnered with technology giant HP, and also they've got new light blue race shirts, which is a bit weird when you think Ferrari red to see them in light blue. But that's going to be for Miami this weekend. It's to basically celebrate 70 years of Ferrari's presence in North America, and So I mean, do you like Ferrari in blue? Does it stand out to you? A bit weird?
It's different, so it is. But I think it looks really cool. Obviously, there's been a bit of a nice catch. There's been a bit of a rumor going around that there's going to be some style of blue on delivery. I don't know, it'll be all blue or just shades of blue or whatever. But and I was looking at pictures during the week of the old Ferrari cars back in the 70s racing in North America, and the light blue actually looks quite cool. I think it's a nice colour.
It's funny because you just assume like Ferrari's red. It's just a bit of a. It's like an away kit.
Yeah,
it's a bit weird.
Exactly, it's got to be red.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I can't see them in any other colour. Maybe yellow because they have done a bit with yellow in the past, but Ferrari has to be red. If you're ever going to buy a Ferrari road car, you get it.
You're not going to get it in blue, are you?
No, exactly. You're going to get it in red, or maybe dark blue, but you're not going to get light blue.
No, definitely not. But they have called it a new and unexpected livery. So, very unexpected. We'll have to wait and see. Right, Miami Grand Prix is the Miami International Aerodrome. It is 5.412 kilometers long. It's got 19 turns. Of course, Max holds the record. A new record last year as well was set. It's kind of constructed around the Hard Rock Stadium, the home of the NFL's Miami Dolphins. It's known for its turn 5 to 7 complex, the tight 12 to 16 complex under the freeway, long straight down into tight turn 17, and that's where the best overtaking opportunities will come from. Rich, It's not the most popular track in the world. Some people call it a glorified car park. What do you like about it? The day out?
I mean, I don't like Miami that much as a whole, to be perfectly honest. There's one nice part of Miami called Brickell, but that's about the only thing I like about it. I hate this circuit.
Okay.
I'm quite glad I haven't driven it, to be perfectly honest with you. But it's I think, a necessary evil, because it's no coincidence that the viewership of Formula One in the United States, in terms of attendance of the races at least, has gone up astronomically, and that's only a good thing.
Yeah.
So on that side of it, and the promotion of what it does for Formula One, it's kind of like Monaco, where Monaco, clearly, if you looked at it as a new track now, you go, what on earth is this?
Yeah, like it's a crap race, but it's an iconic race.
Exactly. So it kind of, I wouldn't call Miami iconic. It
No.
serves a different purpose to Monaco, but I think that purpose is a necessary evil. So even if I don't like it, I can understand why they're there.
Well, drivers have been critical of the turn 12 to 16 complex in the past. Obviously, how quick the drivers kind of come into that first part of the complex. You've got to slow down really close and rapidly to those barriers. Esteban Ocon and Carlos Sainz collided with those barriers in 2022, and they've criticised it as well. So what can we look out for in this race? Red flags?
It's hard to tell, because obviously the sprint race weekend here in Miami as well this year is going to throw up some surprises, I think, having just the one practice session. But generally, going off the last two races that have been there, it's been just a parade, really. There's been an odd contact with drivers and whatever, like you'd usually have at circuits. But to be honest, I don't think, even with that turn 12, 13, 14, it is tight. But apart from those two accidents we had in practice a few years back, it's never really an issue for the drivers. So I think it should go all smooth Saturday and Sunday for the drivers. Possibly people outside of position on the grid come Sunday if there's issues during the sprint race or whatever. But Miami's just one of those races, for me at least, it just kind of happens.
Yeah.
I'm kind of excited to see what they try and do for the driver introductions this year, because that's something the Americans always come up with, something quite cringy but quite entertaining at the same time. Obviously we had it how they did it last year. And then, of course, the last driver introduction, which everybody remembers, was Checo in Las Vegas.
Yes.
Just standing there.
Well, look, it's been hosted for the last couple of years, this Grand Prix. The first one was in 2022. Max has won both of those so far. So before we wrap up, I need to ask you, who's your winner for the sprint and who's your top three for the weekend?
Max.
Max.
Yeah, I mean, let's change that question. Who's going to be second, third, and fourth?
Go for it. So sprint, we're all calling Max, yeah? Okay, and cool. And for the race,
it's going to be Max, isn't it? But I would say after that, I think Sainz is a good bet at the minute, and I'm going to go for Lando, even though I hope his face is a lot better after what happened to him.
What did he? I seen something on TikTok. He fell or something.
Yeah, he was partying on a boat and he fell when he got a glass cut on his face.
Yeah,
it looked pretty. It looked pretty bad,
He looked like a mummy with the
still smiling.
But. For me, Max, obviously, it's a good shout with Lando, especially what he did in China to score to finish P2. Very good job. But I'd say probably Max. I'd say Sainz P2, and I'd say Alonso P3, because he got P3 here last year and he did very good. And that Aston Martin is, it's not running on the podium like it was this time last year, but he's getting closer. Okay. So I think it'll be surprise podium for Fernando.
I'm gonna go for a double stack Ferrari. Am I? No, I'm not actually.
Ooh.
Ignore that. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go for a double stack Red Bull, and I'm going to put Sainz in. Maybe, Sainz P3.
Yeah, and then Leclerc and P4, so you do get your double stack.
Yeah, there's my double stack. My double stack at the back. That's where I'm going for. Thanks so much, guys. Nice to see you, Colin and Rich. Please do make sure that you like and subscribe here to DR Sports. Please do follow on Track GP as well for all your F1 and podcast news. And we will see you next week after Miami, which we have no doubt probably Max will come out the winner. See you soon, guys.